Hello, Internet. So yeah, just read Saga issue 29. Going to give my thoughts as I go over it. Really good stuff. Just wow, it was great. I give it 5 out of 5 on Comixology scale because it was, yeah, good stuff. So we start off with the Last Revolution leader, who we see is talking to one of the I forget who is who in like the Wreath and Landfall, so I'm just gonna call them the Horn and Wings from now on. So like one of the Horns factions, who we find out is the Secretary General, and I must say I just really like her character design. She has a unicorn horn, and that's like one of the cool things I like about like all the characters is like when they're from like the Horns and the Wings is like you don't know what you're gonna get as far as like their iteration of like what horns or what wings that they have. And then you see this character. Well, I guess it could be like a unicorn or a narwhal or that one type of weller thing that has like the well or the horn. Anyway, that's going down as you have the leader of them negotiating the release of hostages, and he has Hazel with them and the Myrrh lady that looks like the dance instructor lady. So that's happening. They're negotiating. But then the Secretary General sees that there's an android in the room. She sees Dango, and she's like, "Is that an android? We're not going to negotiate with the killing machines of those kind if there's one involved. This deal is almost over." So that's happening. And then, the leader's like, "Well, so be it." And then he just tells the mermaid lady to kill Dango. And so that happens, and then there's some exposition from, I'm guessing, future Hazel about sacrifice. So it's like, uh-oh, someone's about to die. It's like foreshadowing. It's like, oh man. And like that happens, and then just like run throughout the whole issue of like sacrifice. And, yeah, blah, blah, what my grandma says about it, yada, yada about it. And then we cut back to Sophie, Gwendolyn, the Brand, Sweet Boy, and Lion Cat as they're entering the mountains in the cave for the for the male dragon that they're hunting, and it's just one of those panels as they get inside that's like it's kind of like the Cyclops that they found that one time when they went to that one planet. I can't remember what happened, but it was like I think it was Marco and his parents, and they were doing something, and when they were on the run, and then they're like on that planet with the giant Cyclops troll thing, and then there's that, and then like the panel on that one issue that's like the first page is the Big Bang being like farted out of some giant space creature's butt. But yeah, we have another situation like that where it's just like you see, it's like one panel, and it's just, I'm not gonna say what it is, but you'll know when you get there. It just, I can't like it is just Saga being Saga. Did they just do that? Yes, they just did. And it's so funny because like in like the end of the page before that panel, you have like Gwendolyn covering Sophie's eyes, and like the expression on the Brand and Gwendolyn's face is just like hilarious. But yeah, before that happened, the Brand was all like, "Oh, I've been to these caves before, back when the Will and I's mother, because it's their brother and sister, took us here after our dad passed away and wanted us to see the wonders of the world." And then Sophie was like, "Oh, your mom sounds pretty awesome." And then the Brand's like, "She was better woman than I could ever hope to be." And then Lion Cat's like, "Lying." And then the Brand's like, "You're a flatterer. Your partner may have lousy taste in clothes, but he's always known how to pick a sidekick." And then there's this exchange between the Brand and Gwendolyn where Gwendolyn's like, "Oh, I like this cloak." And then the Brand's like, "Actually, that's a costume." And he got it on his first paycheck, but then she doesn't finish the story, and yeah, they end up in the cave looking at this. You just have to see to believe it, because I was like, wow, Saga just delivering on all fronts this issue. So that happens, and then there's a bit of a discussion between Gwendolyn and Sophie. I'm sorry, between Gwendolyn and the Brand about, okay, who's going to go down there and get the ingredients that we need. And yeah, but then we cut to the spaceship battle with Marco Prince Robot and the pursuing forces of the king. And it's great banter the whole way through. It's just like, our shields are down. We don't have any fuel. Oh, we have fuel. Those mouth breathers were able to fix it. The prince is just like berating like everybody the entire time. Like it's just great. He just looks down on them. Like it's great. Also, something to note is like when he's controlling the ship, his fingers are very what's that word? Or just like they're stretched out. They're not normal proportioned of like what your hand would be. They're like stretched out tentacle style, and he's like into these little ports or like holes that he's like controlling the ship from, which I didn't know he could do, but I guess he can, or maybe only when he's controlling the ship. I don't know, but that happened. So essentially, they have like no shields, and then it's funny because he says, "Okay, we have enough fuel for one last hopscotch." So I thought that was funny that they call the when like they jump to like hyperdrive or speed or whatever, hopscotching across the planet. I think they had mentioned this before. I just had forgotten about it, and like I read it here, and it's just like hilarious because it's like, wow, that's just funny. But man, the banter is just so good between them. I'm not gonna repeat anything because there's a lot of naughty language involved. So yeah, that happened, and then they get away, but then they jump into this ice field, and then Goose is there, and he's telling them about how Yuma just died, which distracts the prince. And like it's cool because you can see on his monitor screen as Goose tells him, and like he's like the fact that he's like thinking about Yuma, so he's not always a jerk. He's like, oh, I don't know what to say. She wasn't a saint, but the old girl deserved better than. And you can see like on the monitor behind Prince Robot that there's like ice warning, and he's not paying attention. And then they hit some ice, and there's an explosion, and then Prince Robot's incapacitated, it seems, because Marco's like 4, and then like Goose is upside down going, oh gosh, because I guess they were somehow able to get the coordinates of where Alana and Hazel were being held, and then they tracked them, the Princeling, and so they put those in, and then they jumped at hopscotch to the planet, but then they hit some ice, but now they're in like the same vicinity, because in the next panel after the oh gosh part, you can see their ship in like the distance, or not in the distance, it's like doing the shooting star effect where it's like falling through the atmosphere as like one of the dudes is taking the walrus thing out to go to the bathroom or whatever. But yeah, then we're back in the cell with Alana and the 2 members of the last revolution guarding her, and she's trying to somehow get them to let her go or see her daughter one last time. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, like when they're talking to the Secretary General, she specifically said to kill Alana, and that was like part of the deal, like kill Alana and then give us the daughter. But you have to like they said, but like the exchange was something about they have to. I forgot the specifics. Whatever. I just remember that like killing Alana was like one of the things. So that's happening, and then she notices that one of the Last Revolution people has like a mask on from the circuit show, and she's like, "Oh, you're a fan of the circuit? Well, I was zipless," and and she doesn't believe her, and she's like, "Oh, okay. If you're zipless, who is making out with Slipjack in the episode that just aired?" And then Alana's like, "They recast me." But before anything can happen, there's a like zzz sound, and it's and then you hear the henchman go, "Hey, that sounds like Julep's sword charging up." And then we cut to her in the room with Dango, the grandma, Hazel, Snake Dude, and then she's like, "Nothing personal," and then she shoots her sword thing at Dango, but then Hazel's grandma totally like pushes him out of the way, and then she takes a hit. And I just gotta say, like, Hazel's grandma's like awesome. She's like always like just doing it, just like taking charge, taking names, laying the smackdown. And then this time it's like she's like got the what's that word called? Something of mind, presence of mind to like knock Dango out the way, because Dango can like take these dudes. And so she does that, and she's like, "Dango, do it or finish it," before she recharges her sword. And then just another great scene. I'm not gonna say what happens, but it's just like, dude, Saga just like went there, and it's like, oh, that was awesome, just on point. Just like stuff goes down, and it's like, oh, that's great. Just It's like I was like wondering what was gonna happen since at the end of the page, and it's like you go to the next page, and it's like, oh, something really cool happens. It's like it incorporates the Android's face TVs. I was like, man, that was great. But yeah, like noticing, I did notice it in this issue that Dingo does have like a black and white monitor, and that the Prince has a colored monitor. So I'm wondering like if they're ever gonna like get around to that whole colored monitor thing that they mentioned a couple of issues back. But that happens, and so Dingo essentially, he doesn't save the day, but he basically does some stuff to even the odds in the hero's way, Alana, Grandma, and himself, since they're about to just, pull a fast one on Dingo, because, like I said a couple issues back, it looked like he's in over his head, and he kind of got in over his head, but he was able to get himself out before he got too far in. So yeah. Also, the Secretary General's monitor's on this whole time, so she saw like the whole thing, and then he like shoots the monitor, and he's like, "Yeah, whatever." And then that happens. I'm just being ambiguous because I don't want to spoil anything. So it was really good. And then, even though like I'm late doing this video, it's like whatever. I don't care. I don't want to spoil anything. So then we go back to Gwendolyn and the brand, and they're getting their what was it called? Their last ingredient, or one of their ingredients for the cure for the will. And then we have even more crazy stuff happen. I don't even know if I want to say what happens. I think I'm just going to say, stuff goes down, and it ends on a crazy cliffhanger of, well, not like a super cliffhanger, like one thing happened, and then one thing it's like, oh, what happened to them? And it's just like, yeah. The foreshadowing that was happening earlier pays off. Well, I guess it paid off in the last scene as well, but it also pays off here, and it's like, oh, I did not see that coming. Well, well, you knew something was going to happen because they like started talking about sacrifice, and then it's like, oh, what's going to happen? And stuff happened. But yeah, that happens. And in this issue, there's like a preview of this other comic by Brian K. Vaughan called "We Stand on Guard," but it's not very long, so I'm not sure. It looks good though. I like the art. So it's got some like weird like Canada versus America stuff, and like what's going on here. So interesting in the future situation. But yeah, and then like in the letter section, there's some. I didn't read it. I used to read these like way back when, but I like stopped like a long time ago. But there's some people with tattoos of goose on their arm who I've grown fond of too. But I'm not that fond of them. So yeah, that was Saga, issue 29. Good stuff. I thoroughly enjoyed it. 5 out of 5 on the Comixology scale, because it was just amazing. And stuff happened, and I was like, wow, that's great. That's like what I just, yeah, it's just good all around. Just, good stuff happening, scene from scene, stuff and stuff. That was a terrible description. Alright, so that's in this video. And what I thought on this one. So yeah, definitely looking forward to the next one, and where it's going to pick up after the crazy ending. Yeah, also, can Alana and Dingo... Oh man, I just realized something. Oh wait, that's right, because like if Dingo and like Prince Robot meet up, it's like, ooh, but then Prince Robot's like, it seems like he's unconscious now, possibly again, so we'll see what happens. Oh man, or like, will Dingo just like kill him on sight? 'Cause he's like, F the royal family, you guys make us peasants all the time, blah blah blah. Or like, you're the upper class is so, the robots is so blind to what's happening to the people on the bottom. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, that's good stuff. And that's it for this video. So feel free to leave a like, comment, subscribe, favorite, share with your friends, or not. That's cool too. So hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for listening and watching, and until you see or hear from me again, I'm now signing off.